Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to Momo versus Bazaar. Today I have a bit of a different topic to talk about rather than the usual gameplay. Um, this is a subject I want to cover for a while now, and the more I play, the more I understand how these three main mechanics in the game, well, four, which we'll touch on, interact with each other. If you like this stuff, make sure to like and leave a comment down below your personal thoughts compared to mine. Maybe you have a different take. But this is the general principle behind these things, I think. And understanding this will help you improve your wins. We'll know what you need to search for in the bazaar to increase your chances of winning. So, on that front, I think it's very helpful. So, let's dive into this. So, right, what you see right before you is a triangle of sorts. You can call it like a rock, paper, scissors between shielding, poison, and burn. And each of these interact with each other pretty importantly. Um, Sorry for the messy design, but this is the best I can come up with. So, on face value, you have shielding, which you could see over here, is primarily the direct counter to burning. Then you have burning, which is the primary direct counter to poisoning, and poisoning, which is direct counter to shielding, right? So, the thought process behind all of this on a face value is when you shield, you gain, you take half damage from burning. So if you have 100 shield and the person has 100 burning, you only take 50 damage on your shield. Therefore, it's very valuable to have more shield versus someone who is a primarily burning build. And this will shift as metas evolve, of course, but this will help you go into a new meta, whatever it may be. Furthermore, you have burning, which is really good against poisoning because it acts twice as fast. So if you have 1,000 poison versus 1,000 burn on you, the burning is going to, kill you faster than poison will. And of course, this all changes based on your shielding, your healing, all those mechanics, regen, yada yada. Lastly, you have poison, which is a direct counter to shielding, because the poison goes through the shield. You could have 100,000 shield, but the poison will go right through it and will take you out. So I think this is at the basic level of understanding Bazaar's triangles. This is it. And then you have damage in here in the middle, which is kind of the outlier because these go back and forth. Damage can beat shielding, shielding can beat damage. And I'm saying this on average. Of course, you're going to have games where the poison build goes a little bit faster than the burning build and beats you. But it's going to take less effort from the burning side to beat the poison build, right? This is generally what I'm going to be saying. And of course, skills come into play, other things, items. So again, take this with a grain of salt. This is the overarching theme here. And I want to give a couple examples of these, right? So we have a shield match over here where, right? So what we see before is a shielding match, which is going to take on a burning build, right? He has all the rays. The skills come into play, but as you could see before you, the shielding build, this guy doesn't do nearly enough burning, but by this point, even if he had 1,000 burning, the shield build here probably would have won. But as you can see, you shield all the burn damage and then take him out with like a force field, whatever means you want to. In this instance, I use force field here, right? So yeah, couldn't get me through my shield, couldn't poison enough, yada yada, couldn't burn enough. So that is a good example of how burning works. On the other side of things, I want to take a look at a burn build versus a poison build, right? Face value, this is what you get. Yes, take a look at that. So, don't mind the pufferfish here. Pufferfish is just really good, and they since Hot fixed it and Hot removed it, you're going to be working on balancing that. But you still have monitor lizards to go up against in this current day and age. So bear in mind, keep that in mind. So face value, the burn stacks quite heavily here against the poison. So you can see the burn numbers and the poison numbers are near equal. However, we took her out a lot faster. It also is thanks to Powder Keg, which I'll get into, doing a lot of damage and getting through the primary problem here, the shield, if you might have noticed. Once the shield is gone, the burn really has its way with taking out the opponent. So again, example of burning being the direct counter to poisoning. Furthermore, the last in our triangle over here is we have the poisoning taking out the shielding, right? So I have my shield build here. But Vanessa has a lot of poison on us, right? We cannot take her out fast enough before she has her way with us, right? So as you can see, she stacked a lot of poison. We have 1,700 shielding by the end of that, which is pretty much of no use, right? Goes right through that. So our primary shield stat, we have duct tape, armored core, Walter Cooler, the poison snake. All these things essentially do nothing this match. But that's at face value. And now I want to dive into a little bit deeper. If you've been noticing through these clips, what can turn things on its head? So something like force field here is pretty good. So if we're done looking at that and we zoom out to the greater picture here, right? Besides pufferfish being an absolute menace, we have a bit of an imbalance here, right? So ways to shape the flow of the typical triangle here is to add some key items and some key elements, right? So first thing I want to look at here is shielding versus poisoning can be totally flipped on its head if you have something like spiky shield or force field, right? Because suddenly your shield no longer goes down if all they're doing is poisoning you, right? That allows you to build enough shield to maybe, one-shot them or two-shot them with a big shield hit with force field or spiky shield. And there's two items in the game that really do that well. Furthermore, if you take a look down here, the burn versus shield side of things can be turned on its head if we had something like Powder Keg, Plasma Rifle scaling up to destroy the shield here. And even furthermore, their items up here, the spiky shield and force field, become less effective if their shield is removed and also burn gets through the shielding. So that's something else to take a look at. And lastly, we have pufferfish, right? This thing was insanely broken. Kind of just beat all. And the monitor lizard is also on that list. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. Have stuff over here, poison. All right, we go to this one, right? So fix the quality here. We're going to be looking at shielding versus poisoning, right? Normally poison on face value beats shield. However, in this case, we have enough HP and we have a big enough shield to really give him the slap chop. Of course, we crit here, yada yada, but typically the poison would have an ideal matchup here. The way to get around this is to apply as much poison as you can, or shield enough to, block force field's damage, right? Those are the two main things you can do on both ends to increase your odds of winning. But I found out 9 times out of 10 with the right skill setup and all that, the shield build's gonna beat the poison build. But without either spiky shield or force field, I think your odds of winning go down quite substantially. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to counter the poison builds, which are the majority of the meta at the moment. So just consider this when you're doing your runs. Furthermore, we have a burn build taking on a shield build here. And the outlier in this case is just the sheer amount of burning we're doing. If you get your numbers high enough, this can happen, right? Where you're able to take out your opponent. He's also a poison build, right? There's a lot to unpack here, but primarily I saw is a ton of shielding. And as you can see, it was very close. So these numbers are marginal, but again, there's things you can do on your end to increase your odds of winning. If you're looking from both players' perspective here. So that is interesting to me. I don't know. You know what? That last one was kind of like poison build versus burn build. It was a lot closer. Let me retcon that a little bit of the burn build or the poison build being able to turn the tables on the burning build, right? By incorporating some shielding. So, this kind of breaks the original triangle over here of burn versus poison, burn winning. So you can kind of skew it back towards poison beating all with the pufferfish and of course some extra shielding. Lastly, I want to look at a burn build beating a shielding build, right? So as you can see here, we cannot build our shield nearly fast enough. Thanks to some freeze skills here, maybe that, really helped turn things in his favor. But as you can see here, our force field is doing 200 damage by the time it goes off, which is not nearly good enough. And once he gets ahead, in face of, us being able to keep up with the shielding, we're not there. So he's able to take us out. So again, this can go back and forth, but I just want to give you the general overview of, what you typically see in the Bazaar. So, takeaways for me is, face value, this is your triangle. And in damage, of course, is always thrown in the middle here of, they can go back and forth and help one way or another. But, if you're trying to really beat poison that has shielding, throw in some damage there, whether it's a plasma rifle, whatever, to get through that. And of course, you can incorporate all these elements in one, right? I had a board with, burning and pufferfish, and it was really good, right? But pufferfish was just broken, so Modern Lizard is next on the chopping block. It is very strong right now, and maybe if you're seeing a ton of them, hey, try out a shielding and force field, see how it works out for you, because I have a good feeling you're gonna have success with it. So, hope you learned a thing or two here. If you got this far, like, subscribe, and yeah, comment down below, please. Let me know your thoughts on your take of the triangle of sorts in the Bazaar. And if you want more videos like this, let me know as well. There's a lot of subjects to cover, and besides just gameplay, and I really enjoy, theory crafting behind this and sharing my thoughts with you guys here. So, yeah. Till next one. May your Bazaar journeys be ever so great indeed. So, toodaloo, take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.